surfaces of the shaft of the humerus. There are three surfaces in shaft. There are anterolateral surface, anteromedial surface, and posterior surface. So which one is the anterolateral surface? Anterolateral surface is located between anterior border and lateral border. Anterior border was started from lateral lip of the intertubercular sulcus and it was ended in radial fossa. And lateral border was this one. So this surface is the anterolateral surface. In its middle part of the anterolateral surface, there is a characteristic V-shaped deltoid tuberosity. Here is a muscle it attaches, that is the insertion of deltoid muscle. Okay. Then come to the anteromedial surface. That means it lies between anterior border and medial border. This is anterior border and this was medial border. Medial border started from the medial lip of the intertubercular sulcus and it was ended in medial epicondyle. So this surface was anteromedial surface. Okay. In the middle part of the anteromedial surface, close to the medial border. In the middle part of the anteromedial surface, close to the medial border, usually a foramen lies in this part. This is called nutrient foramen. The direction of nutrient foramen is, in case of humerus, it is downward. So the growing end of the humerus is opposite to the nutrient foramen. So the growing end of the humerus is upwards or towards the upper end. Now come to the posterior surface. This is the posterior view or posterior surface of the humerus. In its upper 1/3 there is an oblique crease. You can see in upper 1/3 there is a oblique crease. These crease give rise to the attachment of lateral head of the triceps muscles. So in this oblique crease in its upper 1/3 it gives rise to the lateral head of the triceps brachii muscle. Then just below and medial to the crease there is a groove. Look at that, it is clearly visible. This is groove. Its name is radial groove. So what are the structures passing or what are the structures lodges in this radial groove? Number 1 is radial nerve and number 2 is arteria profunda brachii artery. Then below the spiral groove, rest of the posterior surface gives attachment to the medial head of the triceps brachii. Okay, we know triceps brachii has 3 head. One is lateral head, another one is medial head, and rest of the was long head. Okay, we know long head of the triceps was originated from the infraglenoid tubercle of the scapula. This is scapula. Okay, this was the glenoid cavity, and below the glenoid cavity there was a tubercle. Okay, this part. So the long head of the triceps brachii arises from this part, that is infraglenoid tubercle of the scapula. So that's it about the surface of the shaft of the humerus. This picture is from the visual scene. You can see in the anterolateral surface, in its middle part there is a V-shaped deltoid tuberosity. V-shaped deltoid tuberosity. So here is the attachment of the insertion of deltoid muscle. And in the anteromedial surface, actually in the medial border, medial part of the medial border, there was attachment of the coracobrachialis muscle. This was coracobrachialis muscle. And below this deltoid tuberosity, the whole anteromedial surface and anterolateral surface provides attachment to the brachialis muscle. And in the anteromedial surface, in the middle part, just close to the medial border, there was a foramen called nutrient foramen. The nutrient foramen usually lies in this part. Okay, this direction is downwards. So the growing end of the humerus will be in the upper end, opposite to the between foramen. So come to the posterior surface. This is the posterior surface. We have told that in upper 1/3 there is an oblique ridge which give rise to the origin of the lateral head of the triceps muscle. This is. Then there was a groove. This was called spiral groove or radial groove. Here it closes radial nerve and arteria profunda bronchi vessel, and rest of the part below the spiral groove is medial head of the triceps muscle is attached to it. Okay. That's it.